Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Dana again, and today you're at Research Road. This is a weekly series where we go through science and tech news with a bit of dry humor. Then we answer some questions from y'all. Today is the 28th of January, 2025, and on this date in 1986, the U.S. Space Shuttle Challengers exploded 73 seconds after liftoff. Children all over the country were watching the launch on TV at school because one of the passengers was a school teacher, and it was supposed to be a crowning moment as the teacher would become the first American civilian in space. So, starting off with tech news, China introduced its AI program DeepSeek. It's actually not all that great, but it sparked fears on Wall Street, and prominent tech companies took a dive, pulling the NASDAQ down. There were a lot of questions in the box asking if this was the beginning of the downturn, starting with AI stocks that Bell said was likely. I asked her, and she said that this was probably just an appetizer, unless Wall Street got emotional. In related news, DeepSeek is reportedly being hit by large-scale cyber attacks. Canadians on social media are sharing their eggs prices. MAGA is unhappy with Canadians paying so much less than Americans. Maybe we could ask them to export some to us. Oh yeah, Trump has tariff plans. Never mind, I guess that won't work. Trump's meme coin was down more than 60% from its high last night. And now on to space. Thousands of hills on Mars have been found to contain clay minerals. This seems to indicate Mars had large amounts of surface water at one point in time. A bit back, we talked about what a lot of headlines were calling a mini-moon or Earth's second moon. It didn't really qualify as a moon, but hey, it made for good headlines. This is where it gets weird. Researchers believe it may actually be a small 10-meter chunk of our moon that was thrown off after an impact. Australian scientific agencies have discovered at least 20 fast radio bursts in space. Now it's time to talk about the developing climate crisis. A UN report suggests climate change worsened hunger and food insecurity across Latin America and the Caribbean in 2023. Global GDP could decline as much as 50% by 2070 due to climate change. This isn't a report from environmentalists. It's the result of work by the UK Institute and Faculty of Actuaries. That's right, the people who assess risk for banks and insurance companies. In the world of animals, remember those escaped monkeys in South Carolina? Well, they have all finally been recaptured. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is still reportedly investigating the incident. In health news, there's a large tuberculosis outbreak in Kansas, where there are reportedly about 70 known to be infected. H5N9 was reportedly detected at a duck farm in California. This is fueling speculation that bird flu is evolving. There is growing concern that the Trump administration will underestimate the risk of another pandemic. There were about a dozen outbreaks of Marburg or Ebola under the Biden administration. There were no cases within the United States. Experts are saying that Trump's executive orders are undermining the U.S. capability to counter diseases like Marburg, which doesn't have a vaccine or really even an approved treatment. Almost 4 million chickens in Ohio are being depopulated because of bird flu infections. Now let's dig up the past a little. The world's oldest poison arrow was discovered in South Africa. It reportedly dates back 7,000 years. The remnants of a barracks built by the Continental Army in Williamsburg has been found. It dates to around 1776. And now on to oddities. This may not seem odd at first. A review found that conservatives share misinformation more than liberals. No surprise there if you've been paying attention. But why they share it might be enlightening. The study concludes,
conservatives are more likely to share misinformation when they feel their group is under threat or in competition, such as during elections. However, if not in a polarized context, conservatives and liberals share misinformation at similar levels. Thus, to address misinformation, we need to focus on reducing polarization and the motivations behind it, not just correcting false information.
There is reportedly a $1 million reward to anyone who can decipher an ancient script left by the Indus Valley civilization, which flourished about 5,000 years ago. Before anybody gets too excited, know that the text has been in the hands of scholars for about 150 years. In Summerville, South Carolina, there have long been legends and stories about ghost orbs along the railroad tracks. Well, seismologists are now suggesting something else, something called earthquake lights. Glowing spheres or beams have been reported around times of seismic activities. But to be fair to those hoping for evidence of the supernatural, the seismologists don't actually have a clear explanation for earthquake lights either. And now, we're going to answer some of your questions.
What are fast radio bursts? Are they aliens?
We literally don't know. This list of potential causes is ever-growing. I'm sure aliens are somewhere on the list, but right now there just isn't enough information about them to know for sure. Currently, the most compelling is that they originate in the magnetosphere of a neutron star.
Can you or Dana or someone please explain meme coin like I'm a 5-year-old?
So a meme coin is a cryptocurrency, but it generally has some funny aspect to the name or is based on a meme. It doesn't really fill any purpose other than trading and speculation. Cryptocurrency in general is just a digital currency that isn't backed by a government or bank.
This is not a joke question. Is this price of eggs really because of bird flu? Can Trump do anything to fix it?
Yes, it's really because of bird flu. He can't executive order bird flu away. He could take public health seriously and actually launch a strong response to eradicate bird flu. But I think we all know he won't take it seriously, and therefore it'll get worse.
Does Trump understand what he's asking for when it comes to his Iron Dome executive order?
I think he knows that he thinks Israel's Iron Dome is cool. I don't think he actually understands what it would take to achieve the same thing over the United States. My guess is he'll get the report he asked for in the executive order, and the whole thing will be forgotten about. That looks like all the questions for this week. This week's quote is attributed to Ronald Reagan. I want to say something to the school children of America who were watching the live coverage of the shuttle's takeoff. I know it is hard to understand, but sometimes painful things like this happen. It's all part of the process of exploration and discovery. It's all part of taking a chance and expanding man's horizons. The future doesn't belong to the faint-hearted, it belongs to the brave. The Challenger crew was pulling us into the future, and we'll continue to follow them. So that's all the data we have to date. Hope you enjoyed it and hope to see you again soon.